All right, good afternoon. Welcome to David T. Howard's Go Team meeting. We will follow the agenda as it has been emailed and publicly noticed. I'll remind everyone that this meeting is for Go Team. Meetings that Go Team members can participate in the discussion only. Any public members are only here to observe. I'd like to call the meeting of the Go Team to order at 4:33. Ms. Baker, please call the roll for us.
I shall. Dr. Maxwell,
Present.
Mr. Abernathy,
Present.
oh my goodness. Wendy Baker's in the house. I'm here, present. Ms. Poe,
Present.
Ms. Schultz,
Present.
Ms. Keenan,
She's here. I think, were you on mute? Oh, yeah, now we can.
Okay.
Okay.
Ms. Lewis,
I'm here.
Ms. Walker,
There's Mr. Jones.
yep, Mr. Carmichael, and Mr. Jones. Which he's still connecting to his audio.
Yeah, he's still connecting audio. Oh, I think
Mr. Jones, welcome.
Oh, all right. How's everybody?
Good.
Okay.
We're just calling roll, so I am marking that you are present. Thank you.
Coach Abernathy, do you want to have me be able to share my screen so I can at least show the agenda?
Ms. Poe is the host.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Poe.
You can now. You're good.
Okay.
All right, we do have a quorum. First order is to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Ms. Poe. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by
And that
Mr.
was Ms.
Lewis.
Schultz.
Oh, Schultz. I'm sorry. That was Schultz. It's properly moved in second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye. Hold on one second. When
Okay.
you shared your screen, I'm on a different computer and all of a sudden I can't get to my minutes. So I'm having a bit of a small panic attack.
You want me to stop share? Let me stop
No,
share.
no, I'm good. I got it back.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Good.
Oh my gosh. Whoop, it happened again. What in the world? Okay. I'm back.
Okay.
Sorry.
So Ms. Poe made the motion
Thank you.
and then Ms. Schultz seconded.
Thank you.
So all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion passed. Ms. Baker sent us the previous minutes from last meeting. If you were able to review those and would like to make a motion.
I didn't get a note that anybody needed to change anything.
Mm-mm.
I make a motion that they're approved.
I second.
Mr. Lewis made the motion, Mr. Jones seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion passed. That concludes our action items. Now we're on to discussion items with Dr. Maxwell and the budget presentation number 2.
Okay. So, all right, do you see my slides now?
Yes.
Okay. And so I think I talked the last time about the quote that boring is the new thrilling as far as has to do with our budget, and just a conversation around this, and just to kind of to remind everyone from the first budget meeting is that the budget for us was, good overall. We lost just a little bit of money. And definitely we are in much better shape than many of our other schools, I think even schools in the Grady cluster. And so we are going to kind of continue on with what we were going to do last year, because this is a different year, and we want to implement how we switched the budget, how we made those changes into the FY22 budget. And, this is not an exhaustive list, but, just working on the 3 restorative practice coaches that we are labeling the deans of student support. We had a math connections teacher, we had a dance position. And so, we definitely made some changes, and they're going really well, but we want to do that we want to look at that in the context of a full year. And so not very many changes at all. We are, like I said earlier, we are going to go with a full-time social worker. We are going to make our bookkeeper hourly. So the bookkeeper position will be an hourly position. I put stipends that we are going to continue with our stipends. We're going to put stipends on all our grade level leads again, and our connections lead and our content leads. We also want to create stipends. We have money in the budget for stipends with our facilitators in our collaborative teams. So we want to do all of that. And the number 4 is the reserve fund is untouched. And so that's not how we have worked in the past at Inman. I mean, we've always felt confident that we were going to get to our projected enrollment, and we have. And so we've taken some money from that, even though they always tell us, we don't really want you to take those funds. And so this fund is untouched because, and we talked a little bit about this our last session, so that we can do our intervention programs, our Saturday recovery, or whatever we want to call that program that we are, and I would let you know this is some of that, some of the intervention programs we want to do, we probably won't even have to fund it with the reserve, our reserve fund, because we're going to get money from the CARES Act. And they're talking about what that looks like. And, one of the questions they had is, should every school get the same amount, like per student, kind of like how we have that per student for that SSF formula, the budget formula, that we will get that. But will that be weighted because of with poverty, with ESOL students? And even though we'll get less, we agreed, Miss Briscoe agreed, Miss Sophianis agreed that money, more of that money should go to our Title I schools, but we will get funds from that, and that will help. But again, I feel like we're in really good shape. And so, the 2 questions they ask are school priorities reflected in this budget, and how are district and cluster priorities reflected in our budget? And they're reflected because, to me, it is about how that future is uncertain, that we have so many kids, and there's even debate on, learning loss and what does that mean, but that I feel like are in good shape to be prepared to work with our students as they come back, and to also be ready for what the fall looks like, because we've had conversations with leadership team. We've talked about in the Go team that there'll probably be a virtual model, because some parents may still want that. And so I feel like it's going to be put us easier to pivot in the fall, depending on what happens. And those are my slides. The other thing that I want to do, and I want to make sure because sometimes I don't know how, like, when you share your screen, how that all works. So do you see now I want to say Google Sheet, but do you see an Excel document?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you able to make it the full size of the screen?
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm gonna make it bigger also. Let me just make it bigger. Let's see. So summary. If I put it up to 200%, does that look good? Is that everybody okay with that? Okay. And then I can move that around. But as you see that this unallocated balance here is 0. And if you go below that, it's red. You go above that, it is green. And let's see, staffing. So not like non-staffing. Let me get it to back up to 200%. Again, it's at 0. And you see the reserve amount is 144,888. So we haven't taken from that. I mean, I even talked about that, you know, the Felt team might even look at, say, when they get together, you know, we've talked about that parent liaison, and then that might be in the FY23 budget. But again, if we have those funds and if we feel like that's important, you know, we could use those funds to have an hourly parent liaison. I think it gives us some flexibility. But if we do it now, if I ask for that reserve money, I'd have to ask Dr. Woolfolk. You know, it's a process, and again, I think it's something that I don't need to ask them to take out of that reserve fund, but that we have that money. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Can you? I'm still not clear on the reserve fund. Is that money you have access to for next year, or do you have to ask permission? So in these examples you gave, if you know, we decided we wanted to fund an hourly parent liaison, do you have the discretion to pull that money from the reserve fund at any moment, or do you have to get some sort of permission?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in August, I don't have any permission. They come to me, and I say August, but sometime in the fall, and they will say, is Diane Jacoby's not on here, is she? Is she on here? Okay, because so this is in layman's term that I know, because Diane Jacoby or Lisa Bracken they do a better job, but there's part of our funding that they don't know about until late summer, early fall. And I don't know if that's state funding, local funding. And so they have an idea. And so they look at it, and if it's fine, then you get this money. But if it's like, oh gosh, we are $3 million short, then they take a percentage from every school. And so we have always received that money, but let's say it was $144,000 2 years ago. They might come back and say, you only get $72,000 and change. And so that's kind of what that is. And so we have rolled the dice I mean, if you want to use that, to take away from that. But say we took $100,000, like, oh yeah, we want this teacher, we have $50,000. And then they said, we have $50,000 in the reserve. And Lisa Bracken comes back and says, well, actually you owe $75,000. And so we're $25,000 short, then we have to take it from somewhere else.
Okay.
Right. And I think the other part of that is they won't tell us, they won't say, oh, you actually owe $180,000. Like, they'll only take the money that's in the reserve. So, so sometimes we get that question too. So, yeah. And yeah, so the tools and checks, no, that's, yeah. So the presentation part, I'm gonna put that up to 200%. And it's basically where it was before, the 87 FTEs in instruction. And, you know, all we did is with pupil services is 6.5. And I feel like that's That's going to change it. That should be 7 because it should be three restorative practice coaches, 2 counselors, an SEL coach, and a social worker. So I don't know why that's 6.5. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know. That's something I want to ask in my HR staffing on Monday. My HR staffing, the staffing meeting is Monday at 4:30. This coming Monday.
Well, and these numbers are slightly different than the link that Coach Abernathy sent around. So he sent around a link earlier today, and I just downloaded it. And yeah, for pupil services, it says 6.1.
So the link I sent was from the last meeting, so I assume any updates he would make would be to that same link. So maybe
It
I
is.
said that incorrectly.
No, this is the brand new budget, and it's balanced. But if it says 6.1, and now let's see, that doesn't make sense. A 6.1 to 6.5, you would think if it was, oh no, that is right, because actually Miss Randolph, the social worker, was at a 0.6. So now she's at a 1. So we added a 0.4 to her because she was here 3 days a week. We paid 60% of the salary. But I still don't know where that half is coming from because it should be a whole.
Well, and in this older version, school administration was 8, and now it's down to 7.
Okay.
So yeah, the older version, the budget was 9,609,134. So now it's down to 9,585.
Right. Which was, and that's 609, but I want to look at that, but that 609, that was where we were off. I think if you look at on the budget, and I don't have that, it's probably, that's how much we were off, like in the red, right?
Correct.
Probably right in that, yeah.
That's correct.
Okay. Any other questions? We don't need to vote on that today at all. I just wanted to kind of talk you through that. And I'm going to have the HR staffing meeting on Monday, and then we would vote on the budget in March.
So I apologize, just to go back to this reserve issue. So what you were saying, so the reserve amount is aspirational. It's not set in stone. If you get the full reserve amount, our budget is balanced. If you don't get the full reserve amount, well, they would just reduce the amount of your reserve if the budget isn't balanced.
Yeah, but we would still get that money. It would just not be as much. That 144,000 is not a part of the budget. I think.
Okay,
You know what
it's
I'm
outside
saying?
of the budget.
Yeah, that's outside the budget. Like for instance, I mean, I won't do this, but let's go back to the non-staffing. If I took this, which I could actually do that, but Dr. Woolfolk would have to approve it. Well, let's just do it. If I take it and I would go 120,000, then you see then we're in the green now by 24,888. So if this got put to 0, like, okay, I'm going to take all my funds, then I'd have that 144,000 to work with. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay. Yep.
Now and I thought you were going there, Ms. Keenan, but I think you'll like this because I know how you're thinking, because now we have to look at, okay, what if we get this money or some of that money, then what are we going to do with it? And so what the Go team, what we have conversations around is prioritizing. And so that keeps me and the leadership team, like, honest in a way, like, we want to do these things. Like, for instance, if Saturday Academy is at the top, then that's what we put at the top. And we would, and we don't do this now, but we'll do this in March. Actually, I'll ask the HR staffing in that meeting if we do that in March or in the fall, but I think it's in March, where we will prioritize and then give kind of a an idea on how much it would cost. And we would say like, okay, you have 144,000 in the reserve budget. If you get all of it, then what would you use first with that money, second and third? And then we could prioritize the academy or a parent liaison or a teacher, anything like that.
Thank you.
Yep. And I will say, sorry, Coach, is that we didn't do that very much in the past because we used a lot of it actually. So this will be good. Is that we will definitely need to be thinking on what we want to use that for to best help our kids.
So that I'm clear going forward, that same link, anytime you make adjustments to it, it will show up in that same one, or do we have a different link?
I am going to download that. I'm going to delete that one out of the Google Drive and then download this one.
Okay.
Is what I'll do.
I just want to make sure everybody had the proper link prior to us voting on it for the next meeting. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let's look over those numbers and make sure everything
Yeah,
was on correct.
I'll do that after the meeting tonight.
And Dr. Maxwell, are you going to be able to send me this slide link so I can place it inside our minutes? You don't
Yep.
have to do it right now, but
Yep.
thank you.
Do we have any other questions about the budget? Ms. Poe, do we have anybody to sign up for public comment?
No, we did not.
All right, so we have our next meeting scheduled for March 8th at 4:30 p.m. Do we have any other announcements before we adjourn?
I thought Tuesday went as well as it could have. Just with a 2-hour delay, the cold weather, but just we learned a lot, and I like learning a lot when you only have 240 students. I mean that's kind of a blessing a little bit than all 1,200 in a new building, and so I think we'll get more in the fourth quarter, which is great, but maybe not not nearly the 1,200, and so it gives us. Helps us with our learning curve with our new building overall. And Officer Reed was great as our new SRO. Kudos to her, but yeah, it went well on Tuesday.
Dr. Maxwell, how long did it take to process all the students to get into the building? I saw kind of a long line at the front of the school. Do you know how long that process took?
It took longer than the back of the building. And so that's what we had a meeting in our leadership team meeting today, is because the cafeteria is great. And we've divided them in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and they got inside. And so like on Thursday, we had the chairs right by the front doors. And so we're moving those all the way back to the hallway to get more kids in. But it didn't take that long. I mean, everybody got there about at 11:05. But the other issue was that we couldn't get a good temperature for them because it was cold, and so they had to kind of wait in line for a couple of minutes just to warm up. And so, and then the other issue was they didn't know where to go, and we walked them there, but like. On Thursday, except for Connections B, except for the 7th graders, because they're at Connections B, though our connection teacher did a good job to say, hey, what's your class on Thursday? Here it is. But for 6th and 8th graders, they know exactly where they are, where the classroom is, and they're going to be able to go to it. So yeah, and the other issue is going to be, and we'll have a deeper conversation about this, or a longer conversation, is the dismissal for the car riders, because there's just no place for them to go. And I was wanting to maybe talk to Mr. Jones maybe after the meeting a little bit about it. I know he's around that area, but we were blocking Boulevard for a second there for a little bit because the line went, and we only have 250 students. We didn't even have our full 350 students because of the weather. So Lieutenant Hill was here today, which is Officer Reed's a direct supervisor. Lieutenant Hill will be here tomorrow. We're going to have transportation here. John will be here, maybe not tomorrow, but we need to talk about that. The bus dismissal was great. The drop off and pickup, but the dismissal after school is definitely going to be an issue. We're hoping that more kids will ride bikes and that sort of thing. It was just a cold day, but that's what we're really going to monitor over these next couple of weeks. That's all I got, Coach.
Okay, any other announcements?
I was just going to ask, I know that I am a person that always registers very freezing cold whenever my temperature is taken. So I've given up using my head. If you take the kids' temperatures on their wrist, that goes better. So
Oh, I know, but we were doing this. Like,
Oh,
I mean,
no.
it was, their wrists were cold. I mean, it
Oh.
was, yeah, so,
oh well, thought I'd help.
no,
Yeah,
yeah.
because you also had students that arrived really, really early and they had to stand outside for about 10 minutes before they can come in.
Yeah.
All right, can we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. This is Poe, by the way.
Ms. Poe. A second.
Mrs. Baker seconds that motion.
Motion made by Ms. Poe, second by Ms. Baker. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, you have a great evening.
Hey.